Thanks for joining us online today. If you've been impacted by this ministry and have a story to share of how God is working in your life, we would love to hear it. Send an email to amen@anchorpoint.tv. Also, you can help bring messages just like this one to others who need to hear the hope and the love of Jesus by investing today at anchorpoint.tv/give. Now, we hope you enjoy today's message.
Well, grab your notes, man, your message notes, your Bibles, 1 Corinthians chapter 9. Man, I want to kind of take a jump right into our context today. Week number 5 of Basecamp. My name is Todd. If I had not had the opportunity to meet you, look forward to doing that. This has been a spiritual growth series. And in fact, we began this whole series with a question is, do you want to grow spiritually? And when we did that in all 4 of our services, almost every hand went up. And so we kind of used this backdrop of mountain climbing and this effort to get to the top, this struggle as our backdrop, because at Basecamp, as I watched Mount Everest documentaries on my trip to Ecuador, I got caught up with how much time they spent at Basecamp, how much time they invested in that. In 2 months climbing Everest, and man, at Basecamp, it's where you got your equipment, it's where you got rest, it's where you got resources. So we began 5 weeks ago with 5 tools in 5 weeks. And if you have not listened to each of these, they kind of build on each other. I want to encourage you to go do that. They're not difficult. None of them are hard. They just need to be done. Like number 1, week 1, we talked about that we need to spend time with God. I know that's not earth-shattering, but most of us want to spend time with God. We just don't spend time with God. So we really encourage you to spend 15 minutes a day with God. Week number 2, we talked about prayer because a lot of people think about praying, but we don't actually pray. In fact, we get caught up on how long we pray, and it's not really about the time. It's about the connection with God, because prayer is oxygen for your soul. Well, week number 2, we talked about the Spirit-led life and the power of the Spirit, and God and the Holy Spirit's not out to make you weird. He's here to help you live out this life in the best way possible. Week number 4, Pastor Ryan did an amazing job on climbing companions. We don't have to climb the mountain alone. Nobody climbs alone. And then week number 5 today, our last tool, is I want to talk to you about personal responsibility. All right, just my wife. All right, personal responsibility, because some things are just on you. You just got to kind of, in fact, I think we need this in our country more than ever, because, man, our nation is more divided than ever. You know, we got red states and blue states. And in fact, our state of Alabama is more divided than ever. You got Auburn, you got Alabama. But hey, you don't have to yell, both of you won. Calm down. I mean, and then there is the national debate that is happening right now over the chicken sandwich. If you have not heard, there is a national debate because Popeyes thought they were going to jump in the chicken sandwich game. And I mean, if you have been going to Popeyes, you just got to own that. You just got to have some personal responsibility, because in fact, I want you to know, if you went to Popeyes to get a chicken sandwich, Jesus sees that. He sees you. There is nothing hidden from him. What is done in secret will be shouted from the rooftops. Hallelujah. Thank you. You better not be treating Jesus chicken like that. In fact, I found not showing my other one, because I found a verse. And while they were eating at the table, he said, truly, one of you will betray me. Before God and everybody, you can play along on Facebook. How many of you ate a Popeye's chicken sandwich? Will you raise your hand? Anybody in this room? Nobody in this room. One. Okay, you're scared? You're scared. I don't know if I should raise my hand for that. Welcome, Judas. We're glad you're here. No, I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Take that off. Personal responsibility. I know responsibility is kind of a cuss word in our society. I get that we live in a culture where something is always someone else's fault. In fact, I got 2 kids, so nothing is ever either one of theirs faults. It's always, it's always like, but Graham, but Carter, but Dad. I'm like, it's always somebody else's fault. But Pastor Ryan really helped me last week in his message when he was telling the students in our youth group, sometimes it's just on you. That's on you, bro. So now I've been saying, like, when Carter gets in trouble, if he's got to get a spanking, it's on, he's telling me why he shouldn't, and he's a really good lawyer. And I'm like, man, it's on you, bro. If you lose your privilege to do something, it's on you, bro. And because I figured out there is only so much that any one person can do for you in your life. There is only so much that any one spouse can do for you, any company can do for you, any church can do for you. It is on you. And I don't want to discount some of the things that happen to your life that were out of your control. And I get that. And here's how I say it. Maybe I wasn't responsible for everything that happened to me, but I am responsible for how I respond to everything that happens to me. That is on me. It's on me. It's on you. And in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, Paul says that spiritual success has to do with personal responsibility. In fact, I want to read it, and I want to kind of get the whole context, and then we'll spend our time together unpacking it. 1 Corinthians chapter 9 will be on the screens. Here's what he says. He says, do you not know that in a race all runners run? Now, Paul's not talking about mountain climbing, but he's using the same form of an analogy that runners run. Did you know that? Runners run. Well, let me kind of bring this back to our guy. Climbers climb. Like, they don't have to be talked into climbing. Climbers climb. So he says, do you not know that in a race all runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize, because everyone who competes in the games, this will be like the Olympiad type games, goes into strict training, and they do it to get a crown that will not last. But we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Therefore I. Now, you need to remember that. If you got an outline in your hand, you got a Bible in your hand, circle that. You're going to see this repeated. I. Therefore I, not them, not you, not Jim, not Bob. No, therefore I. Therefore I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not. Do you notice the ownership? Do you notice the responsibility? I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. No, I strike a blow to my body and I make it my slave, so that after I preach to others, that I myself will not be disqualified from the prize. I want to speak to you from the sermon title today. It's time to climb. If you stay in Basecamp forever, you never reach full potential. It's time to climb. At some point in the documentaries that I watched, every time, and I know Pastor Ryan, you got sucked into some of these, they always had to leave Basecamp. They packed their bag, they repacked their bag, they weighed their bag, they got what they needed for the journey, and they climbed to conquer the mountain. They climbed to give it all they have. In fact, I think Paul knew something that mountain climbers know that I think we should all know in our faith today. It's our key thought. You can jot it down. And I think they knew this. I think they knew the outcome is worth the effort. The outcome is worth the effort. I want you to get that. It's worth it. Like this whole Basecamp thing as it regards to your spiritual life, it's worth it. Like I'm telling you, serving is worth it. Giving someone else the opportunity to hear a distraction-free message and to invest in the lives of world changers, it is worth it. It is worth your time. It is worth your energy. It is worth your effort. I'm telling you, it is so much worth it. You could do a lot of things with your time, but I'm telling you, growing your faith is worth it. Man, spending time with God is worth it. When you have strength now that you didn't have before, it is worth it. To make a difference in this world is worth it. To be a part of something that is bigger than me, to be a part of the church of Jesus Christ, on whom he said, I will build my church and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. It is worth it. I'm telling you, it is worth it. Why? Because the outcome is worth the effort you're willing to put in. And I have found out that many people want a mountaintop view without the climb. It's time to climb. So I was thinking, like the question I said, like, how do you have this mentality? What does this mentality look like? And I want to do something different on this weekend to help us kind of close this series out. I wanted my wife, because I want us to not just have my voice in our church. I want us to have my wife's voice in the church and Pastor Ryan's voice. So I asked her to come and help me kind of unpack what all this looked like. So if you would, put your hands together and welcome Pastor Avery Forrest to the platform.
Hey, babe.
Hey. You look good.
Aw, thanks. You look hot.
Let's go home.
My dad's here.
Hey, Pop. That wasn't as awkward in first service. Yeah. We have 2 kids. Anyway, this is not the marriage series.
That was not in the notes.
This is not in the notes. Number 1, let's jot down some notes. Let's jot down notes. All right, let's unpack. What does a mentality like this look like? The outcome is worth the effort. It's time to climb. What does a mentality like this look like? Number 1, jot it down. You got to decide it's worth it. You got to decide it's worth it. Mountain climbers and people who climb Everest have decided that the view is worth the climb.
That's right.
That the money they spend on the gear is worth the climb. That the pain they endured, if you watch any of these movies, you will see pain, that it is worth the climb. And I just want to tell you, man, when it comes to faith, you have to make this decision. And I can't decide it for you. And if you're a student in this room, your parents can't decide it for you. If you're in our youth group, Pastor Ryan, Pastor Jesse can't decide it for you. No, you have to just decide this is worth it. It's worth my energy. It's worth my investment. It's worth my time. Because the reality is everything in life starts with a decision. Everything. Like when me and my wife going on 13 years being married, it started with a decision.
To stalk you.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
I did.
She definitely stalked her way into a date. Don't do that. But anyway, but here's why I jotted it down. There's a quote that says, you make your decisions and then your decisions make you. Right. So you just got to decide it's worth it. I think I see it in the text. Look to verse 24 up there. Here's what it says. Do you not know that in a race all runners run, but only one gets the prize? And I love this phrase, run in, say it with me, run what? Run in such a way. There's a way to run to get the prize. So I'm probably not, as a pastor, supposed to say it like this, but if you want to get the most out of your spiritual life, if you want to get the most out of your faith, you need to drink the Kool-Aid. Go all in. Drink the Kool-Aid, baby. I mean.
Yeah, you know. And we have a cup of Kool-Aid for everyone as they exit the building today. No, I'm just kidding. We won't go that far. But really, you have to decide that the effort, again, the outcome is worth the effort. And what I know about effort is effort takes extreme ownership. You truly have to own your relationship with God. And I love, again, that it said that, run in such a way. And the way I kind of look at that is that run in such a way, every person's way is a little different. Right. You know, we've given you guys kind of a foundation, but what I know too is that when you're 19, the way you run after God is a little different than when you're 52.
That's right.
And a little different when you're 36 and you're married and you've got 2 little kids. And when I was 19 and I first really just started getting passionate about the Lord and wanting to grow my relationship, I mean, I would spend weekends at a cabin, and I would fast and I would pray. I would pray over my marriage that I didn't even have yet. Yeah. I would ask God to wake me up in the middle of the night and put people on my heart, and I would wake up and I would pray like all night long. Now I'm like, dear God, please don't wake me up to pray for somebody.
Amen.
Because
what my parents said.
Because I've got 2 children that need me sane tomorrow. You know, so when everybody's journey is a little different. You know, so if you're young right now, you have such a great place to really run after God and run in such a way, run hard. And then if you're in a place maybe where you're an empty nester, man, you can run a little differently than those of us that have kids.
Yeah.
But what I know is you can still make time to run no matter what.
Right.
Run in such a way that is right for the season that you're in. And here's another thing I know. It's okay for your life to look different. Yeah. It is okay when you're 19 for you not to go to the same places that you used to go or that all your friends go. You just say, hey, I'm not going there. It's okay when you're 35 and you got kids and you say, we're not going to listen to that. Or, hey, I know that little boy down the street is watching that movie, but you're not. It's okay for your life to look different. Yeah. And just be okay with that because it's worth it. It is so worth it. I always say this, you're never going to look back and regret what you gave to God.
Right.
You're never going to look back. When we first started 5 o'clock service, I remember one of the first, 5:30 service, I remember in a room, I just said, guys, we're never going to look back and regret giving this time, you know, serving this way. And man, now we have this full service and our church is growing. We're never going to regret what we give to God. Yeah. And I told you guys this when I preached on Jehu. Your routine, your results are your routine.
Yeah.
You know, like the results you get are a matter of your routine. If you want to know, hey, I don't know why my relationship with God is not growing. Let me see your private time. Oh. Like, what's your extra time look like? Where is it being spent? You show me that, and and if it's just wasted on this or wasted on that, there's there's results in your
Yeah.
routine. And so you can have as much of God as you want.
Yeah, I think the common denominator I've seen in people's lives that I want to emulate, or they're people who do something with their faith, the giants of the faith, so to speak, is just their all-inness, and that's a word I made up, but they are just all in, like half-hearted effort always produces half-hearted results. So
That's
I think there's just only so much as a pastor that I can do or we can do that you have to own it. Like I remember when we first had Carter in the baby stage, and I know a lot of dads get freaked out at the baby stage, and you're like, you don't want to do anything with the baby, which you should stop that, by the way. I just went all in. I'm like, I'm going to take bath time because I want to. I'm going to. I wasn't a dad that wasn't changing the diapers. No, I mean when he had a dirty diaper, I was all in, baby. I was changing them diapers. I was wiping them cracks. Come on, somebody. I was all. Yeah, what? I mean, it's trying to connect. I mean, there was no duty in them cracks. That was my baby. That's my baby. I mean, I was in it, baby.
You're all in.
That's right.
All in the crack.
You know what I mean.
Yeah. It's not in the notes either. Yeah.
You got to own it.
But
you got to put something in if you want to get something out. That's
right.
just the way this works. You got to decide it's worth it.
And he says the word all inness. I always say it's, how many of you guys have ever met one of those people who's just decided? They've decided on something. They're going for something. Blake going to Ecuador, drinking the chicha. I mean, he's decided, that's what's got to happen in your life. There's got to be something that starts stirring inside of you. And I say it's like this decidedness. It's something in your character. It's something that says, you know what, I'm not gonna give in to this. I'm not gonna, because what I want is that's not gonna take me there. And it's got to be this decided place. And like I said a second ago, you can have as much of God as you want.
That's right.
I've always said that. He is ready. He's ready to pour it out. But you've got to go after him. You've got to seek him. When we started the Basecamp thing at the beginning of the series, Todd challenged some of you guys, besides the 15 minutes a day, he said, hey, if you want to go even further, my wife's going to be doing a group at 5:15 every morning. Well, I had about 20 people join in on that group, and it was amazing. And for 15 days at 5:15 every morning, we spent 45 minutes with God. And it wasn't just praying. We had some worship. We journaled. We had prayer time, all that sort of stuff. But it was so worth it. Every single one of those people afterwards has just said, like, man, that changed me. That helped me. That got my day going in the right place. And they had as much of God as they wanted. And he is pouring into them. And some of you guys are in that group that you're in this room right now. And you're like, you could attest to that. You can be like, yes, that was so worth it. And guess what? They've continued on. Our 15 days already ended. And they're still going after God. Because that's what we wanted for y'all. We wanted y'all to start some habits and start some things that would continue to push you forward. Because at some point in time, we've got to stop pushing you. And you got to go. You got to take the responsibility. And what I know, too, is you got to remove the barriers.
Right.
There are barriers. There's going to be things that get in your way. One of the girls, she was really funny. From the first day on, she was like, I'm going to get up at 5:15. Her kids started getting up earlier than she did. Like every day, she would get on the little chat, and she'd be like, oh, my gosh, seriously, And but she pushed through. And so we've got to push through the barriers. There's external barriers. There's people on the outside who are going to say, your life is looking so different. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? And you just got to be like, hey, it's worth the outcome. It's worth the effort.
Yeah, I think in any area of life, when you decide this matters, it changes everything.
That's right.
I'm telling you, this will work in any area. It'll work in health. It'll work in finances. When you decide, like, I'm fed up with where I am, I'm going to where I want to be, and it will revolutionize your life. And the reality is, I think if you're going to be this type of person, you have to give up the myth of balance.
That's right.
If I hear one more person talk about, I just really want a balanced life, I'm just really trying to have some balance in my life because I feel like I'm not really balanced in my life. Give up the myth that the people I admire are not balanced.
That's right.
The people I follow on Instagram and the pastors and the preachers and the missionaries and the dads and the sports figures, they're not balanced. They're passionate, man.
Right.
Man, can I tell you something? Balance doesn't change the world. Passion, I didn't say it on my stool. Passion, sorry.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah.
Passion.
Passion is what changes the world. Passion is what you admire in other people. When I see giants in the faith, people in the faith that I admire their spiritual journey, they are so lopsided it's not funny.
That's right.
They're not balanced. No. They're passionate. They're driven, man. They're driven to accomplish something great for God. So don't worry about balance, but decide to be passionate, that it's worth it. And here's the question you got to ask yourself: where do you want to win?
That's right.
Because I learned you can't win everywhere all the time.
That's right.
Where do you want to invest your time? Because let me tell you something, when you leave this room, you can do anything you want with the time you have.
That's right.
But you can't do everything you want with the time you have. That's right. You got to decide, where do you want to win? And those people who do it, do whatever it takes.
That's right.
Whatever it takes. They get up early. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
They stay up late. They do whatever it takes. They are so consumed with the goal that they're trying to reach. They refuse to be distracted by things of lesser value. Can I say it like this? Everything should not be assigned the same weight in your life.
That's right.
Everything is not the same way. Every opportunity does not have the same impact. It's not worth the same amount of your time. It's not. Every relationship is not the same. Well, you like them better. It's not that I like them better. It's just that relationship is worth more to me. So I'm going to invest in things that matter. So where would you decide that this matters?
That's right.
Where will you decide that I'm willing to say, man, I'm going all in here because it matters? Because when you do that, that's the catalyst for energy. That's the catalyst for passion. That's the catalyst for fire. That's the catalyst that'll keep you going as you go through the journey. When you say, this right here matters, because you got to decide it. Because if you don't decide it, someone else will.
That's right.
That's the catalyst for dedication in your life. So number two, sorry, I got fired up there. Number 2, grind accomplishes goal. Grind accomplishes goals. When I looked at these movies, these documentaries, I learned that climbers are grinders.
That's right.
And that's really what we have to be in our life. And grind is kind of a sports analogy a lot of times. It's, you do a bunch of the small things that add up to a big things. It's not really pretty. In fact, can I tell you something? Not everything in life is awesome.
That's right.
I mean, I don't care what your Instagram looks like. It's not awesome all the time. Come on. It's not pretty all the time. But I know this, to accomplish your goals, you got to learn to grind.
That's right.
And there's this word in our culture that I hate when people use it, called adulting. I have to adult today. Some of us have been adulting since we were 13, okay? I don't know. I can't help you, because you got to learn to grind when nobody is watching, because I'm telling you, life is a grind.
That's right.
Growing your faith is a grind. Raising your kids is a grind.
That's right.
Following Jesus is a grind. And it's really tough to talk about this because we live in a culture that doesn't celebrate grind. I don't care what your hashtag says on my grind. We don't celebrate grind. Let's be honest. We celebrate glitter.
That's right.
We celebrate the shine. We celebrate the success, not the pain and the sacrifice it took to get there. But Paul said, if you're going to do this, it's going to take grind. Look what he says in verse 25. Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict what? Strict grinding, man. I'm going to do it when nobody's watching. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. What'd you have on that, baby?
Well, you've heard the phrase, no guts, no glory, right? So when we kind of were talking about this the other day, I was like, man, no grind, no glory. When you don't grind it out, when you don't work for it, there's no glory. And here's what I know. Sometimes we can start grinding at the wrong things. We're grinding at things that maybe don't matter. And
right.
I got a kind of a funny story towards it. Like, before I met Todd, I love this Basecamp series because I used to be a little bit of a rock climber. I never free soloed like Pastor Ryan was talking about over there last week, but I used to go rock climbing, and I was a big camper, and I love the outdoors. And so, man, I in my head, I knew I was going to marry some incredible outdoors guy that had this really awesome tent that you could like mount to a tree or something. So I started grinding and collecting camping gear, right? And I had a lot of camping gear. I had my backpack, I had a tent and camping tools and all this. I invested a lot, grinded a lot into that area. And then I met Todd. And
it became normal.
Right. Yeah, he doesn't really like the outdoors.
Yeah, so we don't go pretend to be homeless on the weekend. And
So
we have the call of God on our life, reaching people to Jesus Christ all over the world, sending missionaries out. Yeah.
So my
Stinks
life
to be married to me.
So he made me sell all my camping gear when we were like first year of marriage.
Calm down. I didn't make.
It was a good financial decision. But in all seriousness, don't be so busy grinding at the things that don't matter, because sometimes it makes us feel good to be busy with all the little things, because then it makes us feel like we're accomplishing something, right? But the truth is if it's the wrong things that you're grinding at, if it's the things that don't really matter, you're going to get years down the road and you're not going to have accomplished anything actually. And it says that they play the games to get a crown that doesn't matter, that doesn't even count. And I'm not harping on hobbies. Have hobbies. I will have some camping gear because I've got 2 little boys who are going to love, or they already do love the outdoors. So I'm taking them river rafting one day.
I'm going with you.
Yeah, you'll go with me maybe. He'll stay in a lodge or something. But so I'm not talking about don't have hobbies, but know what matters.
Yeah.
Know the race that matters. And the race that matters is the gospel matters. Yeah. Jesus dying on the cross for this world matters. Jesus dying on the cross for the lady who's checking you out at Publix matters. Yeah. People matter. The stakes are high, guys. We are not promised tomorrow. We have to point people to Jesus today. Your family matters. Start investing in your kids today. And if you say, my kids are teenagers, it's not too late. Start today. Go home today and say, hey, we're changing things a little bit. And we're going to go after God as a family. We're going to drink the Kool-Aid, like Pastor Todd and Avery said, at least for the rest of this year, and see if it really works. And I'm telling you guys, it really works. It really does. You just got to sell out to it, and you got to be decided to grind it out.
And I love this part, because that's like who I am. But can I tell you something? Grind is boring. And we live in such a fun-driven culture.
Yeah.
If it's not fun, we don't do it. Can I tell you something? Grind's not fun.
That's right.
But when you grind, the primary motivation is not fun, it is outcome.
That's right.
Can I tell you something? Getting your finances in order is not fun, but the outcome will be worth the effort if you do it. No, you got to grind. You got to grind. Nobody likes to do it. The concept of your goals is like the most fun you'll have until you accomplish it. Because when you put on Facebook, I got a goal, I'm going to do this, everybody's like, good for you. Awesome. And then it's like week 3 and nobody's cheering you on. And that's grind. I mean, it'd be awesome if I could be there with you on every Monday morning. Read your Bible. It's going to be awesome. If you have Pastor Matt, a breakthrough is coming, following you around your house pay him to do that for me. Wouldn't that be awesome? But no, you wake up to dishes in the sink and your spouse won't take out the trash even though she piles it up.
That is not in the notes either.
And you wake up to kids being sick and soccer practice happening, and that's where grind happens. Everyone cheers you on, but the cheers are not the accomplishment. No, the goal is to come in. Grind is mundane.
That's right.
Grind happens on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. That's grind. Grind is boring. But I found out that grind is stewardship.
That's right.
Grind is stewardship. Because if you can't be faithful in the small things, why would God trust you in the big things?
That's right.
I'm going to lean in. It's going to get really quiet here about the next 2 minutes. But I'm going to lean in as your pastor. I jotted it down like this. If God can't trust you to read your Bible, why would he give you 1 million Instagram followers? Why would he give you a platform you want if he can't trust you in the small things?
That's right.
Well, if God can't trust you to be the light of the world on the job you have, why would he ever bless you and empower you enough to own your own business?
Come on.
All right. If God can't trust you to be faithful with the paycheck you have,
come on.
Why would God ever let you win the lottery? It's the small things. It's the small things that lead to the big things. What are you doing in the small things? What are you doing with the time you have? Because you're like, I wish I had more time. I wish I had more time. What are you doing with the time you have?
That's right.
What are we doing with the money we have?
Come on.
What are we doing with the family we have, the marriage we have, the spouse we have, the job we have? Because when you're faithful there, that's when God can really bless it. But the reality for many of us in the room, if God blessed you with your prayers right now, that blessing will become a curse because we're not ready to handle it, because we have not grown into such a place spiritually that we can shoulder the weight, that when we got where we got and God answered our prayers, it would be enough. But if you do it the right way, if you build it, small things, small things, small things, when God blesses you, it adds fuel to the fire of what God's already done in you.
That's right.
I need to get away from this stool. We can't.
Sit down.
And you got to find a way. Quit complaining and keep grinding.
That's right.
I think you should go on a complaining fast for the next 7 days. Amen. Don't complain about your spouse not doing the trash. Don't do that in public and on Facebook. Don't do that. Really, even if you think it, don't say it.
Come on.
Just try it for 7 days. And don't share it with the rest of us on Facebook. We don't want to hear that junk either on Facebook. We don't. No, in fact, when you see that person that gets on your nerves coming, you're thinking, oh, God, here they come. Oh, God. Or when they call you on the phone, oh, not them. Just pick up the phone and say, hey, how you doing? This is my opportunity. This is my blessing in the skies. I'm telling you right now, I'm grinding, and I'm going to grind to accomplish my goals. The people who climb Everest do a lot of little things over 2 months to reach the summit.
That's right.
And if you want to get where God is trying to reach you, you got to do a bunch of little things over time to get there. And I'm telling you, most of us right now, I was the first generation that got this. We want the things our parents have without the work they gave.
That's right.
And the generation after me is worse.
That's right.
But we were the first generation that wanted the house, the car, the land. Now, never mind that it took your parents 35 and 40 years to accumulate all that stuff.
Yeah.
We want it now. But you can't accomplish it without the grind every day. If you want the marriage they got, grind.
That's right.
You want the land, the houses one day, you want grandkids one day, grind. Be faithful for a long period of time and watch what God will do. God will show up. That's how you accomplish goals. Number 3, and we'll get out of here. I think this is probably one of the most important. I think we got to learn to maintain our focus over time. Now, everything that we have told you, it's probably went against culture. Because if you went to a life coach guru, they would tell you how to balance your life. But I just want you to know, I'm not into balance. I think you should maintain focus on things that really matter over a long period of time. I think you should concentrate your life. I'm not trying to raise balanced kids.
That's right.
I don't care if they're balanced. I want them passionate about Jesus. I want them to be a world changer. I want them to have their mind made up. I want them to be so confident in who they are, what God says about them. When they encounter somebody who thinks differently, they're the weird one.
That's right.
That's what I want. Focus your attention over time. Because many of us in this room are giving our best energy to our lowest priorities.
That's right.
And if you constantly give your best energy to your lowest priorities, your best energy to things that don't really matter, you always end up exhausted and empty. In fact, here's how Paul said it. Therefore, I do not run like someone running, say it with me, aimlessly. No, I got a purpose, I got a direction. No, I don't fight like a boxer beating the air. No, I strike a blow to my body to make it my slave. And that is so tough because even the guy with the microphone still has to do this part. So that after I preach to others, I myself might not be disqualified from the prize.
And here's what I know, guys. We can't leave today and go out and fix 50 things in our life. You'll overwhelm yourself. If you go home today and you write down a list of everything that needs to change, you can't do that. But what I know is you could, and I like the word triage. Go home and triage your life. Go home and figure out, go home with your spouse and look and say, hey, what are 4 things? What are the 4 biggest things that we can look at right now and we can work on right now that are going to.
Oh,
well,
I got you.
Okay, you get me, babe. There we go. Yes. What are the 4 things that we can go home and work on right now that are going to help us get to the place? If you're a single person, go home and look and go, man, why are all the friendships in my life so messed up, so jacked up? And look and see, maybe you've got some bitterness in there that you need healing from, and it doesn't allow you to have good and healthy friendships because you got to get some healing in your life. So go home and get with God and ask God. There's a verse that actually says, search my heart, oh God. Find any wicked way in me. Ask God to search you. My 515 base campers, I made them all start journaling, okay? And man, that's what I started having them do. Just write that stuff down. God, search me. God, know me. Show me where it is that I can see change, because you cannot change everything right at once.
Right.
But if you start where it's the most important or the most I guess messed up in a sense, if you start there and start allowing God to move and grow you in those places, then the other little things are going to keep coming. And here's what I know, that when you start grinding, and you'll have moments where the grind becomes worth it, because you kind of get to a place where maybe something actually happens or actually works, and you're like, yes, and you look back and you see that grind was worth it. In March, I actually went to Mexico with some missionaries in our church, and I had not worked out in a while, and so I kind of live off my college years of working out, but I hadn't worked out in a while, and Greg was like, hey, we're going to go climb this little mountain there, and I, again, love mountain climbing, so I'm ready for it, and we're climbing, and it's a pretty tough climb, but he kept telling us about how tough the last part of the climb was going to be. And so we're climbing, and we get kind of halfway there. He's like, hey, we got about 5 more minutes, and we're going to get to this place that we can kind of stop and rest, and if y'all want, we can turn back. And in my head, I'm thinking, yes, I want to turn back. Like, I was pretty wiped out, because I just kept thinking, man, the rest of the climb is going to be so hard. And so we finally get there, and we get out to this place, and he takes us to this little just flat spot where we can rest for a second, and we are able to look out over this just beautiful city in Mexico that the next day I was going to get to preach in. And man, that right there, that pause, that looking out at what I had just accomplished, that it made that whole grind so worth it, because the grind can push you on to your next peak, right?
Yeah.
So then when we prayed for a few minutes and we prayed over the city, then I was ready. I was ready to climb that tougher part of the mountain. And guess what? That tougher part of the mountain didn't even feel as tough as the first part did, because I was refueled by the grind that I had just done. And it's going to be worth it, guys. You're going to get to these places where you start feeling healing happen, and you start seeing results, and you start seeing, you might get 6 weeks down the road, and you've poured into your marriage, and you've poured into date nights, and you've poured into intimacy, and 6 weeks from now, you're like, man, we're closer than we've ever been before, and it's going to push you on to the next 15 years. It's going to be worth it, but you got to put in the effort. The results of your current grind are going to fuel you.
So if you would, close your Bibles, your binders, and stand. I want to kind of close with a question. Band, come join me real quick. Five weeks, 5 tools. Here's my question. What are you willing to do to have the relationship with God that you desire? Not the relationship I want for you, because I can want it all for you, but it just leaves me in a depleted spot, depleted place. What are you willing to do to have the relationship with God that you desire?